DBMS is not free. Some of them are free, but for example, Oracle, the MySQL, they are not free, so you need to pay. It's a lot, huge. So, however, it is true. Some big company, they intentionally use such a paid commercial product. Why? In case something happens, somebody should be responsible for that. If you are using open source, who will be responsible? It's open source, so it's very if you are the person who is in charge of to decide the system, yeah, that was one of the reasons. But in general, if your system is small, data size is small, and you don't want to invest a lot of money, you don't have to use database. Just like what you have done in your program language, the project, you can use a memory based or the file system use. So also each DBMS has a different characteristic, so you are able to select proper the database management system. Okay, so then four minutes is enough to finish the chapter 2. So I spent a lot of time to explain about such a thing. I already explained the history briefly. That 1969, when Professor Lee was born, the relational database was proposed by Dr. E.F. Scott because he needed a new model to manage the very large data. And I'm not going to explain details of the DBMS which are not practically used. Instead, from time to time, I will introduce the concept of future NoSQL database. Then the three schema architecture and so on. So just for review purpose, what is a model? It's a set of concept or policy, the rule that should be applied to manage. That is, in other words, it's called the data structure, to be the data structure. So we need a model, okay? Then, so for such a data model, we need like the class. Class consists of data and method. Similarly, for the specific model, we need to have something data structure plus operation. Operation will be implemented by later SQL database language. Okay, so this is a SQL. So I introduced what is a conceptual or high level. Sometimes it's called the semantic level. This one. Where's I think the behind you can see, right? So from information we build a conceptual modeling. So that is a conceptual model. Physical modeling, physical data model, or low level or internal model is this side. It's a physical, internal, and low level. I never seen the implementation data model in other textbook. Only this textbook, Dr. Emerson argued, so don't pay attention too much. And this one, the conceptual or physical. Sometimes, so when you search the job, so some job description asks 5 years of conceptual design or the 3 years of physical database design experience. If you do not understand what is a physical, what is a conceptual, you cannot get a job. So at least you should be able to understand and differentiate the conceptual and physical. We are going to learn and you are going to practice in your project for these two. So database schema, I already mentioned, schema is our goal of the design. We try to build a schema. So that's a description. Sometimes physical is kind of boundary, okay? Boundary. For example, I try to create a university database schema. Then all the data structure that you create is inside the university database schema. Because of that, any relational database, you start with creating schema. Okay? Database name. You create the database. That is a database schema name. Then under that, inside that schema, you will create table, index, whatever. Okay? Sometimes you may not realize whether you create the schema or not. I never create the schema. At that time, it will be automatically created. Like the username. You use your username. For example, in your MySQL database, the default user will be root, R-O-O-T. Root is default. So you can create another user, or you can still use a root because it's an individual database. Then if you create any schema under the database, it will be automatically database name is used. Oracle use default schema name as the username, like that. Okay, so that is the database schema. Then sometimes it's not easy to understand the schema itself, so we can use a diagram. So for example, this is a schema diagram. Much easier to understand. So this is one of your goals for your design. And database state means in addition to the database schema, data structure, we will create the sample data. Insert. Okay? Data. So this is called the database state. So this is your final goal of your project. You need to create the sample, your own database state. Okay? Then later we will use the term of the state. When we talk about the database transaction, consistency. So at the time we will talk about the state one more time. 3 schema architecture. This is a 3 schema architecture. So conceptual level, internal level, external level. So we are going to focus on to design the conceptual level schema, but not internal schema. Instead, the internal schema will be managed by the DBMS vendor software. Then between the conceptual schema, internal schema is a provide program data independence. Okay. Then abstraction. And also external view, there are different view of the same conceptual schema. This will be implemented by the view in later the sequence. So at this time, this is called the physical data independence. Even though we change the location of the data, the conceptual level will not be changed. Similarly, the logical independence means even though we change it, add a new column here, but external view will not be changed. You don't have to change it. That is the external, the logical data independence and the physical data independence. For the language, I didn't explain the detail, but SQL has different types of the languages that include the mainly data definition languages plus data manipulation language. Data definition language, you can imagine definition language, which means create or modify the structure or drop or change it. That is the data definition language. On the other hand, the data manipulation language means only data, insert the data, modify the data, delete the data, and also select the data. That's the data manipulation language. So we will learn both of them during the exercise line. Okay. Finally, how can we access such a data interface? The only way to access the data is using SQL language, data definition language, data manipulation language. However, it's not convenient. So I'd like to, nowadays most of people use the web interface, web browser. The SQL doesn't support the web browser. So to address that one, we will use the program. Not this one. We will use the program language, another program language. So always database program means SQL plus other program language. Then because of that, it's a little complicated. Because of that. So somebody may say, can we combine together? We will discuss later why we cannot combine together. It looks like the water and oil. It looks like the similar. So both of them are liquid, but we cannot merge oil and the water together. It's the same. To address that one, there are different approaches that we will discuss later. This is a typical component that we are going to discuss after design. Okay, so you can see query optimizer here, transaction, the compile. So we will talk about this later. I already talked about the architecture. from time to time, whenever I have a chance, I will introduce history and such the different types of model. Okay. Okay. So during the weekend and the Labor Day weekend, so please read the textbook one more time, the chapter 1 and 2. Then read a little bit about the chapter 3. For the, I'm going to very fast the conceptual modeling because it's not required for the database, the computer science skill. So we need using domain knowledge. So it's a good idea to start your H1 over the weekend. Then don't forget we will have the first exercise lab on September 6th. When you come on Wednesday, please bring your own laptop. Okay, thank you and have a nice weekend.